Good morning, everybody. My name is Larry Jacobs, and this is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio on a Hump Day, Wednesday, February 8th, 2023. I got a real treat for you today. My old friend Jack Hanrahan is here. Mr. Hanrahan is the author of an incredible book, and he is an old friend of mine, by the way. It's true. Although he's been on the show several times before, he was a friend long before that. Okay, he wrote a book. And the book is out there right now. It's called Traveling Freedom's Road. Traveling Freedom's Road. And it's travelingfreedomsroad.com. Okay, just so you know that. It's a guide to exploring our civil rights history. And not literally, it's not a map, but it's a travel guide to civil rights history, much of which takes place in the South, but it takes place all over the country. All right? And we've got Jack back here because he's going to talk to us today about some more things that we can learn from it. It's Black History Month, that sort of thing, and also how it fits into schools. Teachers should know about it, etc. I heartily recommend the book, okay? TravelingFreedomsRoad.com, and Jack's going to tell us all the places that have endorsed the book. It's just a very powerful stuff, and you'll enjoy your trip either with us today for the next half hour or in your car. Okay, Green Book aside, I might add, those days are gone. We're going to archive the show at ace-ed.org, ace-ed.org, the home website of our Consortium for Equity in Education. Go over there, the brand new issue of our magazine, Equity and Access Pre-K-12 is there. It's our online journal. It's a beautiful issue, got all the Equity Award winners in it. All right, we honor all of them, both the companies and all your colleagues in education, okay, that work so hard for equity. It's a nice issue, and I hope you take the time to go over there again at ace-ed.org. Just click on the cover. Our SEL stuff is over there. Our teacher retention stuff is over there. And every podcast is over there. It's all linked. You'll see it. You know how to read a website. We got good stuff. Check it out. And please, everything we do is free, including a subscription to the magazine. So subscribe. We'll send you a link every other month when the magazine comes out. And again, ace-ed.org. And now the one and only from Charlottesville, Virginia, okay, the one and only Jack Hanrahan, author of Traveling Freedom's Road, a guide to exploring our civil rights history. Good morning, Mr. Hanrahan.
Hey, Larry, good morning, and thank you for having me back, and thank you for your listeners for joining the podcast today.
Well, I'm glad they're here too, and thanks, Jack. You did a great job. I want to start off with this, okay? You and I have talked about this. Talk about all the places, the museums, the organizations that have endorsed the book.
Well, I'm still compiling that list, meaning it's getting better and better, but people can find the book at the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum in Jackson, at the Freedom Center, the National Underground Railroad Museum in Cincinnati.
I didn't know that.
There's a museum in Greensboro at the spot where the 4 North Carolina A&T college students sat in 1960. That museum is called the National Civil Rights Center, the International Civil Rights Center and Museum in the old Woolworth store where those 4 students sat in. The Texas History Museum in Austin. When the Peterborough-based National Abolition Hall of Fame and Museum in Peterborough, New York, reopens once the winter weather's gone up there. They open in May. The book will be there. So you can ask for this book in any place that sells books because the book is available through a national distributor who can order the book for an individual at either a museum or a bookstore. And, of course, the book is available from Amazon or on Amazon. So there's a few others, but I think I covered the top several museums that have ordered the book most recently.
That's great. That's great, Jack. And look what you did.
The History Center in Hampton, Virginia. I better not leave them out. So,
no, don't leave them out. Say it again.
Hampton History Center in Hampton, Virginia, a very historic place in African American history. The White Lion, the privateer ship that carried the first 20 20 or so enslaved people to what then was the British colony of Virginia. But that is all. There's a lot of history around Hampton, Virginia, so I'm very honored that they've taken the book as well.
Wow, you should be, and Jack, you did a great. You have done a magnificent job, not only in writing the book but getting it out there, etc. Okay, and it's terrific. And I want to say this, we're talking to a lot of educators, and by the way, we're talking to a lot of people down south as well. Okay, a couple of things I want to say here. First of all, order the book. Okay, it's really something you need to do, especially social studies. You're going to find absolutely amazing things about the civil rights movement right outside your front door. And I don't care where you are in the country, pretty much. Okay? Something happened that's really, really important, probably right around where you are. It's great for educators. It's great for school libraries. All right, please, every school library should have one. It's great for summer travel. And we always talk about culturally relevant education. Okay? This is the book that literally brings life to places right outside your door. So please check it out. It's culturally relevant for a lot of kids and important for every kid. Okay?
Right.
And
Jack,
jump in
just to say, Larry, if groups of teachers, groups of educators, and their libraries want to order the book in the kind of quantities, modest quantities, that these museums are taking, I'm happy to work directly with a school system to get the book into their school libraries and give them a price break like I do to the museums. The museums, of course, need the price break to make some money when they sell the book, but I'm happy to give that same consideration to educators and libraries and book clubs, et cetera, et cetera.
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate that.
They can reach on the travelingfreedomsroad.com website where my contact information is there.
travelingfreedomsroad.com. That's where you can connect with Jack, literally, and find out all that's going on. It's real. By the way, I meant to ask you, it's absolutely astounding that you were able to get that website, travelingfreedomsroad.com, which is the exact name of the book. Were you surprised when that happened? That's amazing.
I was relieved. I was very relieved when I searched and thought that is available. I had also, before I figured out the title of the book, I had reserved the web's address, civilrightstravelbook.com, which was not ideal, but too generic. So once I had kind of finalized that Traveling Freedom's Road would be the title of the book, or was close enough, I bought that URL and very happily have the website. And I will throw in one thing, too. If people want to get a chapter of the book just to see what it's like, on the website, I offer a chapter to anyone who wants it. They just let me know that they'd like to see. The chapter I am offering right now is the Philadelphia, Mississippi chapter where the
three. Cheney, Schwerner, and Goodman. How well I remember. Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable. Now, I'm going to hit you with something you're not expecting, okay? Jack and I go back a long way, and we have a mutual friend, old friend, named John Crenna, okay? And Crenna is down in Florida. He's in northern Florida in Panama City Beach this week, okay, with his wife, okay? But he really wants to go, and he told me this exactly. He really wants to go up to Montgomery, Alabama to visit the museum that Brian Stevenson started there. Okay, so he's in Panama City Beach, Jack. You know where that is, right?
Yes, it's in the northern part of Florida, right?
Yeah, in the Panhandle. So I'm going to send this podcast to John Crenna, all right? So why don't you tell him, is there anywhere else that he could explore? He's very interested in civil rights history. If he's in Panama City Beach, he's in Panama City Beach. Where can he go to? He's about 45, I guess it's a few hours from New Orleans, for example. If you're in Panama City Beach, Jack, what would you visit for the civil rights events?
So if I were staying at home and just wanted to do something in my own city, in Panama City, in the book I talk about a marker that is called the Gideon V. Wainwright marker, and it's at a courthouse, the Bay County Courthouse. And the Gideon in this was a black man who was charged with stealing $50 and a bottle of wine at a local pool hall. And this is one of those little stories that you don't know about.
They're the important ones. Yeah.
And when he requested an attorney to defend him in the court case, he was denied, and he was forced to defend himself, and he lost. And he went to prison, and he wrote to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court took his case, and in 1963, the Supreme Court made the unanimous decision to affirm the right of a criminal defendant to have an attorney. You know, how many of us have seen Law and Order episodes where the defendant is given the Miranda rights, and that if you can't afford an attorney, one will be provided for you.
Yeah.
Well, that historic thing comes from Panama City, where apparently John is living. But John,
no, John is not. John is in Chicago. He's on vacation down there. He can't take cold weather anymore. He's getting so old, his bones so frail, his skin so thin that he can't take cold weather anymore. So he escapes for a month to Panama City.
I'm sure that you're exaggerating, but I'm sure John is in good health. But I hope he is anyway. And you know, besides Panama City in the northern
thin skin and thin bones, he's okay. You know?
Besides Panama City, in the northern part of Florida, you know, he can visit sites in Tallahassee, in Jacksonville, and in St. Augustine, and so on. So he doesn't have to even leave his home state or even his area. The place where he's visiting. He can make a tour around. But on the way, you say he's going back to Chicago?
Oh yeah, he'll be back in March. Yep.
Right. So, you know, but from Panama City, he could travel to Atlanta. He could travel to Montgomery.
He's going to Montgomery.
You know, you mentioned Brian Stevenson's facilities.
Yes.
There's two wonderful facilities in Montgomery run by the Equal Justice Initiative, and that's Brian Stevenson's organization.
Yes.
One is called the Legacy Museum, which is a museum that deals with everything from mass incarceration, crazy, bizarre court decisions that have adversely affected African Americans over the decades. They also have the soil from dozens and dozens of lynching sites to memorialize the
Unbelievable.
individuals that were lynched across the country. His other facility is actually laser focused on lynching in America, and the site is extremely impactful to visit. There are these large steel, rectangular, coffin-like boxes, I'll call them, but they're big and they're steel, like I said, and they have the county where individuals were lynched, and you walk in and you are at eye level with these large steel boxes, and you can read that Greene County, Virginia, or county in Alabama, and so on, and you just are walking through these. Then you go a little further, and you see that the height of these have been raised up. So gradually, as you walk through, you are raising your head from a perpendicular to the ground to looking up, and it clearly mimics the action that you would take if you were a witness to a lynching. And these victims of lynching come from way beyond the South. You know, there are counties outside of the states that you think of as having conducted most of the lynchings, which is true, but you'll find counties in New York and other more northern states.
Unfortunately, I was going to ask you, not unfortunately because it happened, not because of anything, I was going to ask you that. Okay, are there places outside the South where such horrors happen? And you just kind of answered that. New York?
Right.
Continue. Where else? Yeah, good.
So So just to wrap it up that is called the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, and it's been featured on many television newscasts on 60 Minutes, and it's definitely a must-see when you go to Montgomery. And the goal, those large steel boxes that you are walking past and raising your eyes to see, there's a twin box which the county where that lynching occurred should take that box and put it in a place of memory somewhere in that county. And counties are beginning to do that. You'll see a field of boxes that is not 100% filled, meaning some counties have
taken them. But
you can also see the counties that are,
wow,
in some respects, ignoring the issue that the museum or the facility, I don't like to call it a museum, the facility brings to the forefront of our minds, the problem of lynching in America.
Yeah, it's hard to even comprehend in this day and age, and we're going to get into this in just a second, but that such things could happen. Okay, and then of course we have what happened with George Floyd and lately in Memphis with the horror of that. I can't even watch that video. It made me sick in the stomach. It literally made me sick in the stomach.
When you see photos of these lynchings that occurred in the past, it became somewhat of a public event, and
it's a party.
Of people.
It's a party. Everybody's there. We got them. Yeah. It was anyway. It's just amazing. It's just amazing, and we need to know about it, just like Germans needed to know about the Holocaust. So these things don't happen again. Okay, it's not a question of guilt. Nobody's blaming anybody today for what happened 150 years ago, or 80 years ago, or 45 years ago. Nobody's blaming. We're not responsible for this. Okay, but you need to know about it.
Right.
And you need to make changes, and that's what this is all about.
You need to understand this history, and you need to make sure these types of events are never repeated in our future. So, one of my motivations in writing the book was one, for me to learn more. I took this trip not thinking I would write a book. I just was so moved by the place I just described and other places along the 12-city tour that I took and constitutes the core of the book. I was so moved by it that I felt and that you needed to write about this so others would have I don't want to say an easy way to connect, because this is a long trip. It's a lengthy car trip. If you take the entire 12-city trip, you don't have to take all 12 cities, but but being there in these places where history occurred brings it more to the fore for you than reading about it or listening to me talk about it. To the extent that you can.
It really happened. It really happened. Yeah.
And that's
there's a spot where something happened. It's amazing. And that feeling, I remember that feeling, was going to be weird for this conversation, when I was in England. And I went to Canterbury Cathedral to the spot where Thomas Becket was killed. Okay? And I remember standing there, okay, just thinking, wow, 1,000 years ago this happened. Okay? And you're standing in this spot. It's like a time machine. And it's the same thing with this. When you go to a place where something happened, like Normandy in France, okay, you go to this place and something happened there and it's still there, okay, and
exactly.
it makes it real. It's really just absolutely fascinating, the whole thing. And by the way, I meant to say, we were talking about Gideon before, okay, and I'm going to send this podcast to our friend Krena today, but there's an old made-for-TV movie, and I think it stars Henry Fonda, and it's called Gideon's Trumpet, and it's about that exact story. Do you know that? Years ago.
I always trust everything you ever tell me about movies.
Buddy.
The You are the expert.
I'm going to find it for you. Maybe it's on YouTube. I'm going to find it for you, and everybody, I'll pop it in here if I can find it on YouTube. But yeah, I forgot it. It was a famous movie. Okay, and it just I'm pretty sure that's the same story. I think it would have to be. I want to go over something else. And by the way, this is really amazing. I just found that way. I was looking at the sheet you sent me, and all of a sudden I can't find it. For goodness sakes. Okay, 2023. We're there now. It's the 60th anniversary of some key events, and I thought, hold on, no, I can't find what I was gonna. Oh no, here it is. 2023 is also the 55th anniversary. Speaking of Memphis, by the way, of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King in Memphis. Okay, terrible event, but you go to Memphis, you stand there. What's the Lorraine Hotel? Is that it? The Lorraine Hotel?
Hotel is where the assassination occurred and where the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis is located. A phenomenal place.
Yeah, you go to these places, but I just want to say, Memphis is in the news with those policemen did. Okay, a couple of it's just terrible. Okay, and not Memphis is terrible. I don't mean it that way. Okay, but you have to go there and you be there. Talk about you picked up on this. 2023 now is the 60th anniversary of key events, and one of my this is a stupid way to say it. One of my favorite stories of all this. Okay, a stupid way to say it. Okay, is quote. I just want you to go over this. It's March Madness coming up. Okay, soon. Okay, well we're in February, but March is coming up. East Lansing, Michigan, the basketball game. Talk about it.
Oh, sure. It has been labeled the Game of Change. That's a name that ESPN gave this basketball game. Excuse me. That occurred in the regional semifinal of the NCAA tournament that year. It was played at Michigan State in the old arena, the Jemison Arena. And there are memorial markers to this event that I'm about to describe. So the basketball game was between Michigan State University, which is in Starkville, Mississippi, and Loyola of Chicago. Now, Loyola had 4 black players on their team of the starting 5. And in Mississippi, everything was separated by race. Schools and buses and lunch counters and so on and so forth. And so a basketball court wasn't going to be any exception to the rule. And so Mississippi was not going to allow their school to play Loyola with its 4 black starters of the 5 starting players. But of course, they were blocked by the governor at the time, but the fans.
That was Ross Barnett. If I remember, it was Ross Barnett, wasn't it?
Barnett, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the coach of Mississippi State, and actually the president of the university, and of course the fans wanted the team to play. So they did one of the best end arounds in sports history when they got part of the team, the freshmen and sophomores who might not have been on the starting lineup. They got them out of Mississippi, and they eventually snuck the starting players by plane out of Mississippi and flew on to East Lansing, Michigan for the game that occurred on the Ides of March in 1963.
Wow. March 15th?
Yeah. And, there's a famous handshake. I have a photo of it in the book between the captain of Loyola, Jerry Harkness, God rest his soul, and Joe Dan Gold of Mississippi State. And that photo was not a very popular one in the state of Mississippi. To get to how did it turn out? Well, Loyola won that game and then went on to win the national title. And I point out in the book, as I write this in the Mississippi section of the book, that there's no memorial to this game in Starkville, but there is in East Lansing, and the trophy, of course, is in a protected case in Chicago. So
Wow.
It is a great story. I'm glad you asked.
It is a
about
great
that
story. It is a great story. And you know what I love about it, just to make the point, teachers now these days are, especially in urban areas, they're looking for stuff. Sports is relevant to every kid, especially every guy. Okay, I'll say that just generically. All right, it's kind of a stereotype. All right, but this is a sports story, but it brings the events into perspective. Okay,
It does,
and for African American kids, you know, it's great.
I'm a sports fan, and you can tell reading the book that I love sports and I love movies. Sorry, you're the one that likes movies. I like music, and I like history. And so I've brought a lot of sports and music history that relate to African American history into the book. There's a number of places from his birthplace, Jackie Robinson I'm talking about, from his birthplace to where he played his first professional ball game in the minor leagues, and that's in Florida, to a museum that's now opened in Manhattan, much to the dismay of Brooklyn Dodgers fans, in Manhattan from the Jackie Robinson Foundation. Buck O'Neill is another great Negro Leagues, as they were called. And
unbelievable.
I have a number of mentions of him. And there is a museum in Kansas City. So there are places to connect. There's a museum
the Negro League Museum. I was just talking about that yesterday on the show. Okay? So, the Negro League Museum in Kansas City. Yeah.
You know, what you were talking about, how teachers are looking for ways to connect students with this history. This is why I needed the book to go beyond the 5 or so core states in the South where a lot of this history happened, so that a teacher could take students to the Negro Leagues Museum or the Jackie Robinson Museum in Manhattan or the DuSable Museum in Chicago, and so on and so forth. And I think the book is distinctive because of the wide geography that's covered, and I think it's particularly useful to teachers and to parents and grandparents who want to take their children and grandchildren to a place where this history is honored, memorialized, and taught truthfully.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just amazing. And, you know, when you think about the Negro Leagues in baseball, it was not only painful even to say that had to be a thing.
I know.
Okay, it's so absurd. Okay, and, I mean, just insane. But think of the great baseball that was missed. Okay, when greats couldn't play greats because they were white or black. Okay, think about it. You know, like Buck O'Neill and everybody else. I mean, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. People missed out because of this craziness. Okay, we missed out on stuff. It's not only that it was horrible in and of itself. Everybody missed it. Okay, we're just so stupid. Okay, and it just has to change. Okay, and it is changing, and it's doing good. Hopefully, it's all changing for the better. But it's interesting. Yeah, I just want to bring this up. 2023, which happens to be this year, everybody. There were a lot of key events in civil rights history that Jack writes about in the book. Okay, and the places it's the 60th anniversary, and obviously it was a turning point year, so it's really, really good stuff. The book is terrific, and it's so important, it's so culturally relevant, okay, and it just makes sense. And Jack, just so everybody knows, okay, you didn't write that to increase your hundreds of millions of dollars that you have in the bank. Okay, what's happening with what's happening with all the money, Jack? Tell us, Jack.
So, thank you for bringing this up. I wanted this project to benefit 2 nonprofit organizations that fight for social justice. So there's a lot of great ones, and the 2 that I picked are Brian Stevenson's Equal Justice Initiative in Montgomery, talked about in the conjunction with his 2 facilities. And in Charlottesville, where I live, the Legal Aid Justice Center does wonderful work for low-income Virginians, and I've been a volunteer there for a decade plus, and they are the second financial beneficiary. So this is a mission of mercy and charity for those two, and I've really gotten tremendous psychic rewards from becoming smarter about this history. I love talking about it. People know, and I really am grateful that you had me on today.
Yeah, we'll do more. I love it.
People can find the book on Amazon. I priced it so the shipping is free, so you just have to pay $25 and a penny. At a bookstore, you'll pay $24.95. And if you are interested in ordering them in quantity from me, modest quantities, you don't have to order hundreds. You just need to order about 10. I will definitely give you a price break so that the book gets out there, which is the goal, to have people read the history, understand the history, and honor the history.
Yeah, and also, just was I'm going to send you, obviously, a link to the show. Okay, when we're done, do me a favor, and I think this will help you, is create a little educator page on the website, okay, and make sure this podcast is up there so the teachers understand this is really important.
I am so far behind in keeping that up. That website. I mean, not to brag, but just to report, the book did win the best travel book in 2022 for independently published books. I'm proud of that. That's not up on the website. I've done a number of videos in the last 2 or 3 months. None of those are linked.
Why don't you? Here's an idea. Here's an insane idea. Why don't you do that? Do it this Saturday. Yeah.
I think I will do that. But first, I wanted to be sure to do your podcast during Black History Month.
We'll do it every month is Black History Month. It doesn't matter. That's the whole point of everything of all this. Is that it's just part and parcel of American history. It doesn't have to have a special month to be important. Believe me.
Yeah.
Okay. It just is. What can I tell you? Hey, Jack, this was great. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Larry. Thank you for the folks who've listened, and I hope we can do it again, Larry. Thank you again.
We're going to. Don't worry about that. We will. All right. So you have a good day. Okay. Thanks, buddy. Be good down there.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye. Okay. Author Jack Hanrahan, Traveling Freedom's Road, travelingfreedomsroad.com. Go over there, check it out, buy the book. I'm telling you, this is important for education. And what more can I say? Obviously, we're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org. Check out everything we do over there. It's all about equity. It always boils down to that. Hey, everybody, I'm Larry Jacobs. Thanks for listening.